Nalkan mantra, yeah?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Visashwal Community Zoom event for this afternoon. Today we're hosting Kavita for a talk on nutrition and a demonstration of cooking. Before we start, we shall start with the Nalkan mantra. So please bear with me a moment. Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone, again. Kavita Zakharia is a qualified nutritionist with over 12 years' experience in the field of nutrition and healthy living. Her passion for food and healthy eating initiated her home-run business, Cav's Cuisine, where she makes indulgent yet healthy vegan, gluten and sugar-free desserts and sweet treats to order, and creates unique and delicious vegan and vegetarian recipes, which she shares on her social media accounts. She also runs a healthy vegetarian cooking program where she conducts cooking classes for parents and nannies to learn how to make easy, nutritious meals suitable for the whole family, and a unique baby sensory class, which is a fundamental aspect of early childhood development. Her biggest but most rewarding challenge to date is being a mother to her incredible 3-year-old son, who keeps her on her toes, teaches her a new lesson every day, reminds her to consciously live in the moment, and brings out the best version of herself. Kavita is also passionate about animals, loves to paint and play the piano, enjoys spending time outdoors in nature and engaging in charity work. Kavita from Visashwal community, we're very happy to have you on board with us this afternoon. Over to you.
Thank you, Janelle, for the lovely introduction. And thank you for the Visashwal community for having me on here today. I feel very grateful and honored to have been asked to come on here and do this live cooking demo for you. I think Janelle's mentioned everything kind of about my background. So we can go on straight on to the cooking. I just wanted to say I do have a tendency to talk quite fast. So if I am blabbering on too fast, or if anybody has missed a step and wants me to go back, please just wave to my cameraman Shinan, who's just behind here. Give him a quick wave or just unmute yourselves and just let him know that we'd like to go a step back or something like that. It's also a very informal session, so throughout the cooking demo, if you have any questions about nutrition or health that you would like to ask, I will do my best to answer. So please, again, just unmute yourselves or raise a hand or something and just speak up, and then we'll try and get those questions answered as well. So we're going to be making 3 things today. They are all vegetarian.
Kavita, sorry, just one moment, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kavita, just to let you and everybody else watching that this is also being live streamed on YouTube. So if anybody wants to join on YouTube, they can through the Visashwal community channel.
Okay. Can I carry on? Yeah, should I carry on?
Yes, carry on, carry on.
Okay, great. So like I mentioned, we're making 3 things today. They're all fully vegetarian dishes.
Yes, Kavita, carry on.
Yeah, we're making 3 dishes today, which are all fully vegetarian. There are vegan options as well for these dishes. So there's no egg or no dairy if you don't want to be dairy in there as well. So yeah, fully vegetarian. So we're going to be making some oat chocolate chip muffins and a spiced butternut squash soup, and then a quinoa feta salad. So to start off with, I hope you've all kept some of the preparations ready as was described in the recipes. But just to start off with, in case people have not done these few steps, we'll start off by soaking the chia seeds, which we need for the muffins. So if you have measured out 1 tablespoon of chia seeds like this over here, we just need to soak them so they become nice and soft and they form a gel-like consistency, which is actually going to act like our egg replacer for the oat muffin recipe. So we need 1 tablespoon of the chia seed, and then you can just go ahead and mix that up with 3 tablespoons of water. So just about 3 tablespoons of water and give that a good mix. And we'll let that sit for about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll come back to that in just a second. So give it a good mix. So this actually acts like an egg replacer. Chia seeds, they make a very good egg replacer. 1 tablespoon chia seed mixed with 3 tablespoons water equals 1 egg. So if you ever need to replace egg in a recipe, this is a great way to do it. And if you need 2 eggs, you just double the quantities of everything. Okay, so we'll leave those here just to soak for a little while. The next thing we're just going to start preparing is the quinoa and the peanut. So I've actually pre-boiled mine already. Actually, just pre-boiled mine here. Oh, let me just give you a little bit of information about the chia seeds while we're here. So chia seeds are actually considered one of the healthiest foods on the planet. So gram to gram, because they're so tiny in size, gram to gram, they're actually very, very nutritionally dense, which is why they're considered one of the healthiest foods on the planet. The best way to have them is by soaking them like we've just done, because it helps them to form a gel-like substance, which is more easily absorbed through the digestive tract. If you kind of eat them just whole as they are, it's very hard for the body to digest them, and they kind of just pass straight through the digestive tract. So the best way is to soak them, or you can grind them up. But if you are grinding them up, make sure to grind them up just before you're about to use them. So try not to grind the whole big batch and leave it out, or even in the fridge, try not to leave it there because it does lose nutritional property very quickly as well. So just grind them in small amounts and just add them when you need. Make sure to drink a lot of water with chia seeds as well, because they are very absorbent. So they will kind of draw out a lot of water from your digestive tract if you're not taking in enough water. So chia seeds, very, very good. They're also high in fiber, high in protein, minerals such as calcium, magnesium, manganese, zinc, and they're also a very, very good source of omega-3 fatty acids. So especially as vegans and vegetarians, it's very important to get those omega-3 fatty acids in, very important for our brain health, and just to keep the whole body healthy as well, very good for the skin as well. So it's a really nice way to get your omega-3s in as well. It's also a complete protein, which means that it has all 9 of the essential amino acids, which our body can't make. So amino acids are like our building blocks to make protein. So chia seeds is one of the few sort of vegetarian sources, which is actually a complete protein. So you get all your 9 amino acids in there. And like we already talked about, you can use it as an egg substitute. So 1 tablespoon chia seeds mixed with 3 tablespoons water equals 1 egg. And then finally, the way that you can use chia seeds, so in baking, how we are doing today, you can also sprinkle onto salads, use in smoothies and porridge bowls, lots of different ways to use chia seeds. So yeah, that's a little bit about chia seeds. We can actually just give it a little mix again. If your mixture is looking quite dry, just add a little bit more water because it's still absorbing the water. So just add a tiny bit more if it's looking a bit dry. And then we'll leave that here. Okay, so moving on to the bit for the quinoa salad. So I've already pre-boiled mine here. Some of you may have done, but if you haven't, that's okay. You can put these on to boil now. So for the quinoa salad, we will need the red skin peanuts. Mine are already boiled, so they look a little bit lighter. And then this is the quinoa. So if you haven't already boiled it, you can do so now. Just place them in a large saucepan and cover fully with water. And then we'll boil them for about 10-15 minutes until they're boiled and cooked. Quinoa, if you haven't ever cooked with quinoa before, this is kind of the consistency that we're looking for. So this is when you know it's cooked. You should be able to see a little bit of the white of the grain still remaining, but most of it should be kind of a little bit transparent almost. And that's when you know your quinoa is cooked. It's very easy to kind of overcook quinoa where it becomes quite mushy, and then it's not so nice in salads and things. So about 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes is usually enough, and you should only be able to see a little bit of the white here, and that's how you know that the quinoa is done. So if you need to boil those, please go ahead and put those on to boil. Just leave my slide here. Okay, and then while we're doing that, we'll go back to the muffins now, because the muffins will need about 20 minutes in the oven per day. So we may go prepare those now and then put them into the oven to cook. So we're going to use 2 large ripe bananas. So bananas are great to use in baking. So while we're doing this, sorry, I'll just say what we're doing. So you can go ahead while I talk to you about it. So you can break your banana up into little bits like this, and just add it into a large bowl. And we're going to use the back of a fork just to mash up the bananas here. So you can go ahead and place the bananas in a big bowl. So I was saying bananas are a great way to sweeten things naturally. So in baking or in smoothies, rather than adding sugar or refined sugar or anything else, bananas are a really nice way to do it. So for these kind of recipes, where you want that natural sweetness, we use these slightly overripe bananas. So I don't know if you saw the skin here, but you can see it's slightly starting to go brown. So that's the kind of ripe banana that you would want for this type of baking. You really get that nice natural sweetness there. Okay, so we can just use the back of a fork now and start to mash up our bananas. So bananas obviously are very healthy, as we all know. Lots of potassium in there, a little bit of magnesium in there as well. They're a good source of instant energy as well. So like pre-workout or post-workout, if you're feeling a little bit of that sugar low, bananas are a nice way to kind of just boost your blood sugar levels back up. The riper the banana, the higher the sugar content is going to be as well. So let's just get these bananas nice and mashed up here. Should be fairly soft and easy to mash. Okay. So the bananas which are less ripe obviously have less sugar in them, but they have other benefits as well. So they're quite high in fiber. So the ones which are not sort of super ripe like these ones, the ones which kind of taste a bit more starchy rather than sweet, obviously have the healthy carbohydrates in there and are good for fiber as well. And those kind of bananas, they won't actually raise your blood sugar levels as fast as these very sweet bananas will. Okay, so that should be quite nicely mashed now. So no sort of very big lumps in there. A few lumps are okay, but you want it quite mashed up like that. So this is a really nice, easy recipe to do. It's a great one to do with kids as well, because you can get them involved in chopping the banana and mashing the banana, and then mixing up all the ingredients. Really nice and easy. I often do this one with my son. It's really fun to do. And it's very healthy as well, because like you'll see in the recipe, there's no refined sugar or any form of sugar actually for that matter. The only sugar will be in the dark chocolate chips, what's naturally in there. And again, because they're dark chocolate chips, they will have less sugar as well. So a nice healthy recipe. They've got oats in there as well, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. But really nice kind of snack idea or even a breakfast idea. So if you're struggling with breakfast, quick breakfast for kids, you can have a bunch of these pre-prepared and then just keep them aside. You can even freeze the batter and bake them on the day, or even freeze the whole muffin and then just defrost it the night before, and you have a quick breakfast ready for you. Okay, we're just going to switch on the oven here as well. So if you have a fan oven, just set it to the fan temperature setting, and then we need to set the temperature at 180 degrees. Okay, so we'll get the oven preheating and then come back to the muffin here. So as you can see, the chia seeds have now kind of formed a nice, nice gloopy sort of texture. And this is how we want it. So you can go ahead now and mix in the chia seeds into the banana mixture. And then give it a good mix. Okay. So switch over to a spoon now if it's easier to mix. Switch over to a big spoon. So give that a good mix so all the chia seeds are nicely mixed with the banana and any of the clumps are out as well. And then with these kind of recipes, I like to add all the liquid ingredients first into this mixture. So we'll go ahead and now add the avocado oil. So I like to use avocado oil in a lot of my cooking because avocado oil actually has a very high smoke point. So what this means is that even at quite high temperatures, the properties, the really good nutritional properties of the oil are not destroyed. So avocado oil is known as omega-9. It's a monounsaturated oil, and it's actually very, very healthy to use for things like this. Even for sort of shallow frying things or just using in baghar, I basically use avocado oil now for all my cooking. And because of that high smoke point, you're not destroying the nutrients. So it's a really nice oil to use. It's very good for the heart as well. It's a heart healthy oil. So let's just go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of this, and then I'll tell you a bit more about avocado oil. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And then, yeah, so with avocado oil, like I said, you can sort of heat it up at quite high temperatures and use it. Things like oils like olive oil actually have a much lower smoke point. So oils like olive oil, you should really just use cold. So you can drizzle them over salads or pour them over food once the food is cooked. But for sort of high temperature cooking like baking or even in baghars or frying, it's not really good to use olive oil because of the lower smoke point. So the nutritional properties will be best maintained if you just use olive oil cold. With avocado oil or generally healthy omega-9 monounsaturated oils, they also help to lower cholesterol. So they bring down the bad LDL cholesterol and they raise our good HDL cholesterol as well. So these are nice oils to use instead of things like sunflower oil or corn oil. These are much, much healthier oils to use. Okay, so we've got the avocado. Next, we're going to use the vanilla extract. So just 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Again, with vanilla extract, if you're using something from the supermarket, it's most likely just an artificial flavor. It's not the pure vanilla essence or vanilla extract. Sorry, I've just put 1 teaspoon in there. Pure vanilla essence or extract actually comes from the vanilla bean pod. So this is what you want to look out for. This is a brand here that I have. It's actually a nice Kenyan brand made locally, and it's just pure vanilla extract. So there's no alcohol in this one. There's no sugar in this one as well. A lot of the ones we buy in the supermarket are full of alcohol or full of sugar syrup or glucose or some form of sugary thing. So this one just has vanilla beans, glycerin, and water. So whenever you're going for a vanilla extract, try and look for the most pure one. Like I mentioned, a lot of the ones that are bought in the supermarket are actually just an artificial flavor, which has kind of been synthesized in the laboratory. So it's probably just chemicals which have been put together to make it smell like vanilla. This is from the real pod. So try and look out for pure vanilla extracts, especially for baking, because I just find the flavor and the smell, everything is different about the real stuff. So we put a teaspoon of that. And then we'll leave the almond milk to last because some of your mixtures might not need the almond milk and some might need. So let's leave that one to last. Next, we're going to put baking soda or bicarbonate of soda. Either one is okay. So we need half a teaspoon baking soda and then half a teaspoon of baking powder in there just to help the muffins rise. So go ahead and grab your measuring spoon and do half of each. So with baking, it's nice to use exact measurements because that's how cakes and muffins and biscuits and everything, they turn out the best if you do tend to use sort of quite exact measurements. When we come to things like the soups and the salad, when we're adding spices, we don't need to be too worried about very exact measurements. But with baking, it's always good to use the proper actual measuring spoons and proper measuring cups as well. So that's half a teaspoon each of baking powder and baking soda, or bicarbonate of soda. I think it's the same thing. And then we're going to use wholemeal spelt flour. So hopefully you've got some wholemeal spelt flour. If you haven't, you can use any kind of wholemeal flour, any wholemeal brown flour. Plain white flour will do the trick as well, but the more whole grain, the better. So again, we know with whole grains that they're of course much better for us, much healthier for us, because the whole part of the grain is within the flour rather than just the kind of very white starchy bit. It's also less refined. When we have the whole grains, they're much less refined as well. I'll talk to you a little bit about spelt in just a second, but let's go ahead and put half a cup like this of wholemeal spelt flour. Try and level it out as best as you can. Again, with baking, the best way to level things out, is an old trick, is to use the back of a knife to really just sort of make sure you have exactly half a cup. So that's half a cup there. So spelt is actually an ancient grain. It's a little bit similar to wheat, but there are some differences. It's much older than wheat. So wheat is quite a new grain that's come about, and wheat is much higher in gluten as well. So a lot of people can actually, who may be gluten intolerant, can't tolerate wheat, but they might be able to tolerate spelt, just because it's easier to digest and it's, like I said, slightly lower in gluten as well. So our bodies are actually not designed to eat wheat. And so a lot of people, that's the reason why a lot of people actually find it hard to digest wheat and get a lot of bloating or constipation or even diarrhea the other way. Intestinal problems, lots of things like that, because our bodies actually are not designed to eat wheat or gluten really, or a lot of gluten. So yeah, spelt is a much healthier grain to kind of try to switch to. It's quite nutritious as well. It's got minerals like magnesium, zinc, calcium, folate, B vitamins, and it's an important source of carbohydrates as well. And it's the whole grain carbohydrates that we want to look out for, because these are the ones that help us to stabilize our blood sugar levels. So it's not like glucose and very sugary things which is going to spike our insulin levels. Whole grains kind of help to stabilize and keep our blood sugar levels quite stable, so you don't get those massive peaks in insulin and blood sugar glucose rise. So you can use it to make roti as well. Sorry, someone say
Kavita? Yeah, it's me, Sonal. If you can speak a little slowly and a little closer to the mic so it doesn't echo, so people can hear you clearly.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was saying about spelt. You can use it the same way like you use wheat flour. So you can make chapatis or rotis from it. Even mix it to make peplas from it. You can literally use it in any way that you would use wheat flour. So just try and substitute it instead of wheat flour, because it's a much healthier flour to use. Okay. So the next thing we're going to use add in is oats. So these are the oats here. They're just kind of the normal porridge oats. These are not the jumbo ones. These are kind of the regular quick cook oats. So you can pick these up anywhere in any supermarket. Oats, again, are great because they are whole grain as well. The jumbo oats are probably more of a whole grain than these little ones, and steel cut oats. So they're like, I don't know if you've seen them before in the supermarket. They're like the little pieces of oats. They kind of just look like little bits, or pinhead oatmeal, they're sometimes called. Steel cut oats or pinhead oatmeal. They are very, very healthy to use as well, because that's like the purest kind of whole grain form of oats. So you can make porridge out of those, and yeah, use in baking like this as well. So we're putting half a cup of oats going in. So oats traditionally are supposed to be gluten-free. Oats are not supposed to have any gluten in them, but because these days they're grown very close to wheat plantations, they actually have some cross-contamination, and that's how gluten actually gets into the oats. But traditionally, oats actually are not supposed to be gluten-free. You can buy gluten-free oats as well, which would have been grown completely separate from wheat, so there'll definitely be no gluten in there. So try and look out for those again. So oats are a great source of vitamins, minerals, fibers, antioxidants, carbs, proteins, Lots of healthy things in oats. They're also used for weight loss. They help to lower blood sugar levels and keep, like I said, keep the insulin nice and stable and keep your blood sugar levels nice and stable. And they also known to reduce the levels of heart disease as well. So they contain something called beta glucans in there. So the beta glucans in the oats, it's a type of fiber, like a soluble fiber, and this basically helps to mop up all of the bad LDL cholesterol from our blood and our system and kind of shift it and move it out through the body. So it helps to lower the bad cholesterol again, the LDL cholesterol, and improve our ratio of HDL and LDL. So having, a bowl of porridge maybe 2-3 times a week is a really good idea, especially for diabetics or people who are trying to control their blood sugar levels. Yeah, it also increases the feeling of fullness in our stomach because it's quite fibrous and it absorbs a lot of water again as well. So it helps us to feel fuller for longer. And it also feeds the good bacteria in our stomach as well because of this soluble fiber. It helps to feed all our probiotics to keep our gut biome nice and healthy. So oats, really nice addition in there as well. And then we have cinnamon. So let's add our cinnamon powder. So it's 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. If you're a big cinnamon fan like I am, you can go ahead and add a little bit more. I put 1 teaspoon just because everybody's taste buds are quite different and some people taste cinnamon a lot more than other people do. But I'm going to add 1.5 because I love cinnamon. Cinnamon, again, a really nice warming spice and very good for blood sugar control as well. So diabetics, when you're making your porridge, you can put sort of 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, mix it into your porridge. It will obviously add to the flavor, give you that nice warming spice, but it will also help you to control your blood sugar levels. With cinnamon, there's 2 types. There's the cassia cinnamon, and then there's the true cinnamon, which is the Ceylon cinnamon. Always try and look out for the Ceylon cinnamon, which is the true one. And I believe that one is from Indonesia, the true cinnamon. Sorry, Sri Lanka. Sorry, the Ceylon one is from Sri Lanka. And the cassia one, which is mainly from China, India, and Indonesia. That's the more readily available one. But if you can get your hands on the Ceylon cinnamon, that is really the true sort of pure cinnamon that you want to look out for. Okay, and then a pinch of nutmeg. So with nutmeg, you may have the powder or you may have the actual whole nutmeg like this. If you've got the whole nutmeg like I'm using here, you can go ahead and grate a little bit into your mixture. So nutmeg is quite a strong flavor. Just by grating it, even from this distance, I can already smell it. Quite a strong flavor and strong smell. So we only need a little sprinkling of it, just like that. So another nice warming spice for this cold melody weather. And then the dark chocolate. So I have the dark chocolate chips here. The darker the better, obviously, with chocolate. So a little bit about dark chocolate, or chocolate rather. Let's just add this in here. So while I'm talking to you about chocolate, we can be laying our muffin cases as well. So let's go ahead and put a 1/3 cup of chocolate chips. Again, depending on your sweetness levels and how chocolatey you like things, you can add more. You can add 1/2 cup if you wish. You can add less even if you wish, a 1/4 cup. It's completely dependent on your sweetness levels and how much chocolate you like. I find with the sweetness of the banana and the sugar in the chocolate chips, about a 1/3 cup is the right amount. So let's give that a nice good mix. Now, depending on how big your bananas were and how much water and things you added in the chia seeds, you may or may not need to add a little bit of almond milk. So let me just get this nicely mixed up. So I might just add a tiny splash of almond milk, but you can see it's quite thick and gloopy, the mixture. We don't want it too runny, and you don't want it too dry either. So I hope you can kind of get an idea of what sort of texture we're looking for. But I'm just going to add a little splash of almond milk. You can use normal milk as well if you want, but if you want to keep it vegan, then just a small splash of almond milk. About 1 tablespoon maybe. And then again, let's give that a nice good mix. Okay, so that consistency looks great. So it should kind of just fall off the spoon quite easily. That's the easiest way for me to describe it. If you have a big dollop, it should just fall off quite nice and easily. All right, and then if we move over here to our muffin pieces. So I have these nice silicone muffin cases, which I love to use. Obviously, they're recyclable, so I don't have to throw the paper ones away each time. And I find they cook really well in here, and then obviously I can reuse these as well. You just wash and reuse them. The muffins kind of come out of them quite easily. I find with the paper muffin cases, a lot of the time they get quite stuck. A lot of it gets stuck to the bottom. So I like to use these. So just spoon about one sort of heaped tablespoon of the mixture into each muffin case. It should make about 12, depending on how much you're putting in. But one sort of heaped tablespoon. And we'll just do all of these here. Yeah, so chocolate. Chocolate actually has been around for centuries, I think, and chocolate comes from the cacao seed or the cacao plant, and then it grows in like pods. And as you open the pod, these little seeds come out, little beans, cacao beans they're called. That's what chocolate is actually made from. So if you think of what's in the little, if you think of what the nutrition that's actually in the little bean, before we add all the sugar and the fat and all the other stuff that we tend to add to chocolate these days, in the actual bean is actually a very healthy bean. It's full of magnesium, it's got some calcium, it's got some iron in it. It's very, very high in antioxidants as well. So chocolate in its purest form, or the cacao bean, is actually quite a healthy thing. But what we've done to chocolate these days is not healthy. So we tend to add, milk and sugar and cream and all those things to chocolate, which kind of has changed our perception of chocolate, making it not so healthy. So if you can get your hands on the actual cacao bean, or if you can find chocolate, and there are some really nice companies here that do sort of very nice dark chocolate, which uses the pure cacao bean and very little sugar and more natural forms of sugar, like coconut sugar. Those are kind of the best types of chocolate to eat. So the darker the better, obviously, because the darker the chocolate is, the more cacao content there is, which means there will be less room for sugar. And if it's sort of a vegan one, then obviously there's no dairy or fats in there at all. Just the natural fats which are present in the cacao bean. So cacao butter or cocoa butter also comes from the cacao bean. So that's the fatty part of the cacao bean. And often you'll see the spelling. So there's cocoa and there's cacao. So cacao is spelled C-A-C-A-O and cocoa is spelled C-O-C-O-A. Now, the main difference from what I've read is that the cacao is the purest form. This is before the bean is roasted or processed in any way. And a lot of the sort of very dark chocolate makers, the ones who kind of make nice, pure, dark chocolate, they tend to use cacao rather than cocoa. So cocoa is when the bean is processed or heated and probably fermented and treated sort of a bit more differently. So always look out for chocolate that has cacao in it. Even if you're buying drinking chocolate or anything, try and go for the most purest form with cacao in it rather than cocoa. Healthy You has some cacao available. You can also buy cacao nibs, which are like little chocolate chips, but again, they're very bitter and they're very dark because there's no sugar or anything else added to them. It's just little parts of the cocoa beans, which have been broken up, and you can add those to smoothies, to smoothie bowls, porridge bowls, desserts, anything really. And again, very high in antioxidants and lots of good stuff in there before it's all sort of heated and processed the way chocolate is these days. Okay, so the nice quality chocolate I was talking about, there's the chocolate bar, which is a really nice company that I tend to buy from. They do a 90% dark, which is sweetened with coconut sugar. So that's kind of the healthiest of the healthiest. If you do want 100% dark chocolate, which remember is going to be very, very bitter, but if you want to enjoy chocolate that way, Healthy You does some brands of 100% dark chocolate, The chocolate bark actually also does a big bar of 100% dark chocolate. You can use that in baking, and then that way you can add your own honey or maple syrup or more natural sweeteners rather than sugar. And the other company is Sweet Art. Sweet Art also do very nice sort of dark quality chocolates. There's other brands in the supermarkets I've seen as well. So always look at the ingredients of things. Just make sure you check what's in there and look out for the highest cocoa or cacao content and the least sort of sugar or fats or dairy content in there. That's going to be the healthiest chocolate. Okay, so that's done here. We've got 12 muffins here and they're ready to go in the oven. So your oven should be nicely preheated by now. And we'll just pop those in. I always like to set a timer because I do tend to forget sometimes. So you can set a timer if you have, 20 minutes on the timer. And then we'll just go back over here. Okay, so let me just see if I've covered everything about the chocolate. Yeah, so roasting the cocoa beans actually develops more of the flavor of the chocolate, but remember it does reduce the nutrient content of the chocolate. So always try to look for sort of pure 100% dark chocolate. Right, so any questions at this point? Are we all together? I hope everybody's muffins are cooking in the oven. But if you have any questions at this point, please unmute yourselves, or if there's anything you want to go back to, or you want me to recap, please just unmute yourself, and we can take a moment to do that here. Otherwise, if we're all good.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I just wanted to say I really liked your wall art.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, they're all done by myself, and there's a couple of my son's pieces up there as well. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Nice following your demo. I just wanted to ask, what's the difference between muffins and queen cakes, as Garv had mentioned?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think maybe in a muffin, I could literally put anything in there, whereas queen cakes tend to be more sort of just flour, sugar, butter, icing, that sort of thing. Whereas in a muffin, you can literally make like a savory muffin, a sweet muffin. You can put, like I've done, oats in there. You can even make like a savory muffin with some cheese and vegetables in there. So I think muffins are quite versatile, and you can really mix them up and do a lot with them. You make them sweet, savory, and any sort of flavor that you want. I think that would be the only difference. I'm not really sure otherwise.
Maybe
it's
we'll
just
Google it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the other question you had meant telepathy. I was going to ask you as you go on, if you mentioned the local suppliers. I like that you're, promoting local. So yeah, you did mention where we could, buy some of the ingredients from. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you mean the chocolates or just generally? Okay, just in terms of the chocolate, let me just show you some of them. So these are some of the ones which are available locally. I know we all love chocolate, so we may as well do this. This one is actually this one's from Belgium, but they use like the cocoa from Costa Rica. There's a Ugandan cocoa they use as well. I think there's a Madagascar one as well. Ivory Coast. So this is a really nice brand. I've seen this in Chandarana. Carrefour as well has this one, and it does go up to about 85% dark. So that's a really nice one. This is the chocolate bar I was talking about, all made locally. This brand is amazing. They do hot chocolates as well, which I think are quite much lower in sugar than sort of the other stuff that's available in the supermarkets. And this is a 54% dark one, espresso flavor. So nice coffee flavor, one of our favorite ones. But they, like I said, they do a 90% dark, and they have 100% dark cookie chocolate as well. So really, really nice brand. The chocolate bar, you can Google them. You can order directly from them. They're also available at Fresh to Go in Sarit. I've seen them in zucchini as well. You can order directly, like I said, and in Village Market, there's a shop as well there. So it's all available there. They do really nice dark chocolate coated almonds and hazelnuts as well. So a good way to trick the kids. Whenever my son asks for chocolate, I literally give him the dark chocolate almond. I think it's about 70% dark actually. And it's brilliant because it's 90% almond and just a little bit of chocolate covering on top. So he feels like he's getting a treat, and I know he's getting something healthy. So they do really nice, chocolate covered almonds and hazelnuts as well, and the hot chocolates, like I mentioned as well. This one is from Healthy You. I think it's an imported brand. But again, just to show you, there's lots of variety of nice, good quality chocolates out there.
Whatever. On YouTube or whatever, easier. I think your mic can't go on.
Is somebody asking something, or they're not on mute? Okay.
Thank you. I think they were just not on mute, but thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
So this is a nice 80% dark chocolate from Peru. And again, Healthy You has a huge variety of dark chocolates available as well. So just try and look out for, like I said, the darker the better. And if you can go local, obviously try and support our local brands. But these are some of the ones here.
Thank you to the videographer. Even he's putting in a lot of effort.
You're welcome.
Okay. So if we're all kind of up to speed on that, let's move on to the next dish. So the next dish we're going to start on is the Thai spice butternut squash soup. So this is a really, really lovely soup recipe. It's one of my favorites, and I think another week or something. It's kind of like those one pot soup, one pot recipes where you literally chuck everything into one pot, cover it up, and then just let it cook away. So really quick and easy to make, very nutritious, lots of healthy things in there. We'll talk a little bit as we go along about some of the things. Okay, but let's start cooking this. So yeah, nice one pot dish. So if you have a nice big saucepan like this, let's put it on the gas and just turn it on to sort of the medium heat. So whenever I'm using oil with a pan, I like to actually heat up the pan first and then put the oil in once the pan is quite hot. So the reason I do this is because obviously the longer we heat an oil for, the more it's going to be exposed to high temperatures, and hence we will affect its nutritional quantity, even with something which has a high smoke content like the avocado oil. So always try to let your pan heat up first, and then we put the oil in, and then we'll give it, a few seconds obviously for the oil to heat up, but at least it won't be heated to sort of very high temperatures for a longer period if we were to put it in now from the start. So going back to avocado oil, I like to use this brand. This is Croft here. I think you can buy it at Shamba Cafe. I haven't really seen it in the supermarkets, but if anyone is interested, please do reach out to me. My friend actually supplies it. It's again made here in Kenya, locally made. And I can put you in touch with her and you can just order directly from her. So they do big bottles as well. I usually just get big 750 ml bottles and then top up my little one here. So Croft, look out for Croft avocado oil. It's pure, it's extra virgin, it's cold pressed, and it's from the highest quality of avocados. So really nice brand to use. You can also use it cold in salads. It doesn't have to only be for cooking. It's also fine. It's got quite a nice sort of subtle nutty flavor. So it's quite nice as a salad dressing as well. So yeah, look out for Crofts. And but for this recipe, sorry, never mind about that. For this recipe, we're actually going to use coconut oil because it's a Thai spice kind of flavors, we're going to use a little bit of coconut oil. So you can go ahead and put about a tablespoon of coconut oil into your pan, which should be fairly hot now. So mine's quite solid at room temperature. So a good quality coconut oil, which is sort of pure and organic and extra virgin, should actually be in this sort of cold weather. It should be solid at room temperature. If your coconut oil is staying liquid all the time, even in this cold weather, it's probably not pure. It's probably a blend of different oils, so they probably processed it in some way or added something to it to keep it liquid. But pure virgin coconut oil should remain solid like this in this cold weather. So we're going to go ahead and put about a tablespoon. Again, I use a locally made coconut oil. I have a massive 2-liter bottle. That's why you can't see any branding on here, because I just shifted to smaller bottles. But I can show you the big bottle and share the company again. It's a really nice one. It doesn't smell very strong. A lot of people don't like to use coconut oil because of the strong smell, but this one is actually not very strong. So yeah, that's it. We're going to add our ginger. So mine's already smoking quite hot, you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and put my ginger in. Also, just to mention, I'm not using onion and garlic today, but if you would like to use onion and garlic, you can add a little bit of onion and garlic to this recipe. It just adds a little bit more flavor to it, but it's perfectly fine without it as well. Just to point out that you can use a little bit of onion and garlic. So get your ginger in, and that's, you can see it's already starting to stick. So I'm going to chuck in my lemongrass now as well. The lemongrass, again, is really nice spice or herb, I guess. Herb. Really nice herb to use. It's used a lot in Asian cooking. And it's got a very sort of fresh, lemony flavor to it. It's also known as citronella, and it makes for a great insect repellent as well. So if you get lemongrass essential oil, if you're going on holiday and you want a natural insect repellent, just get a bottle of citronella pure essential oil or lemongrass pure essential oil. Mix it up with like some coconut oil or almond oil or your cream or whatever. Put a few drops in there and just put it all over your skin, and you won't be bitten. The bugs stay away from it. Just another little cooking tip for you. If you are using, let's say, onion and garlic, or I mean, we can use it with lemongrass as well. If you add a little bit of salt in the beginning, like this, if you add a little bit of salt to your onions or your lemongrass or whatever, you actually don't need to use a lot of oil when cooking, because the salt will start to make the lemongrass or the onions start to sweat and release a little bit of moisture. And so you don't actually need to use a ton of oil when we're doing bagars or when we're cooking, because because of the moisture that comes out of these, it will naturally kind of help to provide a bit of moisture. So your ingredients won't be sticking to the bottom of the pan. You can see I'm not using a non-stick pan as well. This is just a stainless steel Zakharia, and nothing is sticking as yet. So that's a nice little trick. Just add a little bit of salt in the beginning. Okay, so we'll let that cook for a bit while I talk to you about lemongrass. So many benefits of lemongrass. It helps to reduce anxiety, helps lower cholesterol, boosts oral health, relieves bloating, and reduces stress and anxiety. It's also anti-inflammatory, and it helps to uplift the mood as well. So you can get lemongrass like this and make a nice tea from it, or you can use the leaves of the lemongrass and brew up a nice tea, or even in your masala tea or whatever you're having, you can add some of the lemongrass leaves in there. So
I have a question. On lemongrass, you said the leaves. What have you used here?
I've used the stalk. I just used the long stalky bits.
Yeah, and then cut it up very finely. Is that it?
Yes, exactly. I've just chopped it up fine. Yeah, but the tea, the leaves are quite nice in the tea. Okay, so once we've given that a couple of minutes to cook, let's give that a nice good mix. And then we're going to put in our, if you're using red chili, I'm not going to use red chili because it's my son's dinner. so I don't want it to become too spicy. But if you do want to add red chili, now would be the time to add that in as well. Whether chopped in half or chopped into little pieces, you can chuck that in now. And then we're going to put in our butternut squash. So I've just chopped them up small like this, little cubes of butternut squash. We can throw those in. Oh, for those of you that were cooking your quinoa and your peanuts, please make sure that they should be done by now. So please make sure they're switched off. And you can drain the liquid out of them as well. So, like I mentioned, because this is a one pot recipe, we can add some water in now. If you've got hot water at hand, go ahead and add some hot water now. So enough to sort of cover most of the butternut squash. So just put enough hot water to cover up to the top of the butternut squash. Okay, so as you can see there, I've put enough water so all the butternut are nicely floating in the water. And then let's just add everything in, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more about all the ingredients, just so we can get this cooking. Red lentils are going in next. So red lentils which have been washed. You don't need to pre-soak red lentils. They actually cook very quickly. So it's a nice lentil to use in soups, because you can just put it in with all your vegetables or whatever you're using, and they kind of cook at the same time. They don't take very long to cook, so nice one to use in soups. Okay, so give that a good mix. Right, you can add a little bit more salt depending on how much you added at the beginning. So everyone's salt preferences are very different. So depending on how you like it, add salt. So what I'm using here is pink Himalayan salt. Let me just get the other one. So this is what I use in all of my cooking. It's pink Himalayan salt. This comes from obviously the Himalayas. It's known as a rock salt or mountain salt. So the reason I like to use pink Himalayan salt is that it actually has 84 trace minerals. So all the sort of micro minerals and nutrients that we need, this is what 84 of them. If you think about our white table salt, that only has 2 minerals in it, sodium and chloride. So if you can get your hands on some pink Himalayan salt, I've seen it in most of the Russian stores around here in Parklands and Westlands. So try and pick up some pink Himalayan salt. Much healthier for us to use. It's less processed than the white salt. So the white salt, like I said, is sodium and chloride, but it's also probably bleached and very processed to kind of make it that white and pure and sort of that crystally. This is literally just pure rock salt. So in some of these Russian stores, you'll see they have the big actual rocks as well, and they grind them up themselves as well to make the pink salt kind of like. You can get the coarse one as well, which is slightly bigger granules. If you want to put it in a grinder, in a mill kind of a thing, you can put the bigger chunks in there, but you can also buy the fine one like this, just to use in cooking like this. So I've switched over all my salt to the pink Himalayan salt. So another, just very important one to point out. So we've added the salt. The next thing we're going to add is a bit of cinnamon. So again, depending on your taste and how much you like, you can go ahead and add 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. So a nice sprinkle of cinnamon there. I'm just going to add a little bit more, so I said enough cinnamon. And then next thing is nutmeg again. Oh, let's just take a break here. This can stay on, that's fine. That was my bell for the muffins. So we can just go over to the muffins and get them out of here and see how they're doing. Yeah, so these have risen beautifully, as you can see. They've almost doubled in size, and tops are sort of a nice golden brown color. I hope you can see that there. So this is kind of the color that you're looking for. They should feel quite soft and spongy to the touch as well. So these are done. So 20 minutes was enough. Depending, again, everybody's ovens are quite different. So if you feel yours are not looking as brown or golden as these ones, please leave them in for another 5 minutes. If they're overdone, that's okay too. It should be fine. They'll still taste good, hopefully. But this is kind of the color that you're looking at. So I'm going to leave these out here to cool before we can take one out of the case and maybe have a try. So we'll leave those there. And then we'll just go back to our soup. So we had added the cinnamon in, and we're just about to grate some, or add some nutmeg. So again, a nice sprinkling. I'll talk to you a little bit about these spices in a second as well. So just a little sprinkling of nutmeg. Like I said, it's quite a strong flavor, so just a little sprinkle will be fine. And then we're going to add a pinch of cayenne, or any sort of spice that you have. So cayenne is just a form of chili, basically, but it's kind of a more pure form of chili than the red chili powder we get. That one can often have a lot of coloring in it as well. So again, with chili, try and look out for the most pure form. I'm just going to use a little bit tropical heat. I think does some nice. I've got paprika here. I haven't got cayenne, but cayenne can be quite hot. So even just a pinch of it will really spice up the dish. So again, depending on your taste preference, go ahead and add a little sprinkling of either chili or cayenne or any sort of spice that you have. And then we're going to add cumin. So cumin, just jeera powder, just ground up jeera powder. So a teaspoon and a half of ground up jeera powder. Again, if you like things sort of very flavorsome and very spicy, sort of very spicy, not spicy in terms of chili, but just a lot of flavor, you can add a little bit more. But about 1.5 teaspoons of ground cumin. And then a little sprinkle of black pepper. So black pepper is another one of my favorite ingredients that I love to use in a lot of things. Black pepper actually has a compound in there called bioperine. And this is something that helps us to absorb all our nutrients from our food. So all our vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients. Bioperine in black pepper is something that actually helps us to absorb the nutrients. So you'll find in supplements as well, they tend to add bioperine to a supplement to help you absorb any of the vitamins and minerals in the supplement. So in all your food, basically, a little sprinkle of black pepper is a good idea, just to help you really maximize the absorption of all your nutrients from there. It's also a potent antioxidant. There's something else in there called pepperine, which protects against free radical damage. So this world that we live in currently, with all the pollution and our diets at the moment, how they are, we have a lot of free radical cell damage going on in our body constantly. So antioxidants, they're the things that help our bodies to fight off all this free radical damage and protect our cells from free radical damage. So fruits and vegetables, like brightly colored fruits and vegetables, have a lot of antioxidants in them. Superfoods and things like goji berries, spirulina, chia seeds, even all these kind of superfoods as well have a lot of antioxidants in them. So the more antioxidants we can get into our diet, the better, as they will help us to protect against free radical cell damage. Okay, so again, pepper, depending on how you like it, add a little bit or a lot. And that's basically it. So the coconut cream is going to go in after everything in here is cooked. So we're just going to cover this up now. So leave it on a medium heat to simmer away. And we'll just cover that up here. And we'll let all of that cook. And once the butternut is soft and the lentils are cooked, then we will add in the coconut cream, and then you can do your garnishings just before you serve your dish. Okay, so let me just talk to you about some of these ingredients. So I forgot to mention about coconut oil. So coconut oil has had a lot of bad press, and it is a saturated fat, but actually it's one of the healthiest saturated fats. So it's known as a medium chain triglyceride. And what this means is that your body basically uses this up as energy rather than storing it as fat. So a lot of the other saturated fats that we eat, which are mainly found in meats, so red meats and dairy products, they have a lot of unhealthy saturated fat in them, as does deep fried food as well. When we heat up oils to those temperatures and we deep fry food, it changes the structure of the oil and makes it an unhealthy oil, basically, a saturated fat. So things like sunflower oils and things are actually polyunsaturated fats. So when they're cold at room temperature, they are okay. They are not damaging to us. But as soon as we start to heat these kind of oils up, we increase the saturated fat basically in them. And the saturated fat is what, again, increases your LDL cholesterol and decreases your HDL cholesterol. So it lowers your good cholesterol and it increases your bad cholesterol. So coconut oil is actually not a bad option to use because, like I said, it's medium chain triglyceride. So you use it up as energy rather than storing it as fat or storing it in your arteries where it starts to clog up. It doesn't do that. It also has a high smoke point, just like the avocado oil. It has a nice high smoke point. So again, for like bagars or high temperature cooking, it's a good idea to use coconut oil. And a lot of the time people are worried about the smell, like, oh, if I do the bagar in coconut oil, I'll be able to taste it in my shak or something. But once you get all your flavors and your spices in, generally, unless you're very, very sensitive to coconut, generally you probably will not taste the coconut oil, especially if you have a good brand that doesn't have a very strong smell. If it kind of smells overly coconutty or a little bit different, it's probably got things again added to it. But pure, extra virgin, organic coconut oil really does not have a strong smell. Let me just grab my big bottle so I can show you the brand. So this is the one I use here. It's called Organic Haven, and it's virgin coconut oil, cold pressed and unrefined. So this is like the most pure form of coconut oil. And again, there isn't a strong smell. So you can, I think it's available on Google. I don't know if there's a number here. But if anybody's interested in any of these contacts for anything, just reach out to me. I'm on Instagram or Facebook, or I can share my number at the end as well. And you can just reach out to me and I'll be happy to send you any of the things we've talked about today. So yeah, look for, again, locally sourced coconut oil, because obviously living in Kenya, we have a lot of coconuts here and we'll get the best form. Okay, so that was coconut oil and those right in there. So butternut squash. So butternut squash is a nice winter squash, and it's perfect for these sort of chilly Nairobi evenings at the moment. It has lots of, it's so versatile. There's so much that you can do with coconut, with butternut. I will mention a few things just now, but it's again got those powerful antioxidants that we were talking about that help protect your cells from all the oxidation. It's rich in vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, potassium, and fiber as well. It's also one of the healthy carbs. So if you're trying to stay sort of on a lower carb diet and you want to avoid grains and sort of the more starchy carbs, root vegetables and squashes and pumpkins, these are all sort of the more healthy, natural carbohydrates that we can consume. So you'll still be getting your carbohydrates, because energy, remember, our energy comes mainly from carbohydrates. And everything will have a little bit of carbohydrate in it, including our vegetables, including fruits. But sort of root vegetables and squashes and pumpkins are a nice way to get the healthy carbohydrates in. They're known to help reduce the risk of obesity, heart disease, diabetes, help to keep your energy up, and they contribute to a healthy weight. And this is all because they are a healthy carbohydrate. So the way you can use it, you can add it to soups, you can make curries from it, you can make burgers from it, you can roast it in the oven. So flavor it up with any different spices or anything, roast it in the oven and then add it to salads. You can also substitute it for potato as well. So if you want to make like mash or if you want to make little jacket potato kind of boats or something, you can also use it like that as well. So lots of different ways to use it. People use it in baking, like sweet baked things as well. But there's lots of recipes out there online, so you can have a look at that. But yeah, really nice sort of healthy carbohydrate to use. And then we'll just quickly touch on some of the spices that we used here today before we move on to our final recipe. Okay, so spices, things like cinnamon. Cinnamon, like I mentioned, is very good to help control your blood sugar levels. But generally, all these kind of spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, turmeric, they're all anti-inflammatory, they're antimicrobial, they're high in antioxidants, they help with digestion and with circulation, and they're also very natural pain relievers as well. So things like clove oil, if you ever have a toothache, you can literally put a whole clove on, just hold it there on the tooth that's hurting, and the natural oils that are released from the clove oil will help to naturally relieve that pain. It's also antimicrobial or anti-infection as well. So it will help to prevent any infection going on there as well. So clove oil is great. Turmeric, again, is anti-inflammatory, so very, very good for arthritis. So if you have, joint pain, osteoarthritis, or any kind of inflammation in the body, turmeric is very good. So adding lots of turmeric to our food, but also try to get the actual turmeric root. Because again, with some of these powders that we get, we don't know how much is coloring and how much is the real actual turmeric. So if you can get turmeric root, I have seen it at the corner shop in Diamond Plaza. The actual root, you'll see it's like an orange root. It looks like ginger, but it's orange inside. So you can brew that up as a tea and drink that every day. That's very, very good for inflammation. And if you have severe forms of pain and inflammation, you can actually buy a turmeric supplement. Healthy You again has some very good ones. And the active component in turmeric is curcumin. So this is what you want to look out for. It's the curcumin, which is the antioxidant or anti-inflammatory part of the turmeric, which will help against the inflammation and help with pain as well. Ginger, again, natural pain reliever, anti-inflammatory, so great to add to teas or to cooking or anything like that. Yeah, that's kind of basically all about the spices. So again, a good point to maybe stop and see, are we all at the same place? I hope everyone's got their muffins out of the oven now. And your soup should nicely be boiling away.
Kavita?
Yes? Hi.
One question. Can we pressure cook this soup?
You can pressure cook. It will, yeah, in about 3 whistles, it will probably be okay. It will probably be cooked. So you can do it the same way, just do the vagar in the pressure cooker, put everything in, put your water in and pressure cooker. I like to sort of slow cook things just in a super oil because I find it brings out the flavors a little bit more. Sort of cooking them on a low heat for a longer time, it really releases and brings out the flavors, I find. But I'm sure, yeah, I've never tried it actually in a pressure cooker, but I'm sure it would work.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? So yeah, the ones who had put the muffins back in, they should be ready by now. They should be nice and golden brown by now. Okay, so let's move on to the final recipe. So the soup will just be cooking away here, and we will move on to the final recipe now. So the quinoa feta salad. Okay, so hopefully you have everything sort of ready prepped here. So I've got kind of everything ready here. So this again is a really nice recipe where you can just literally boil a couple of things, have a few bits chopped, and then everything's just mixed up in a nice big bowl. So grab a nice mixing bowl. Okay, so yeah, with these kind of salads, it's great because again, you just put things to boil. While things are boiling, you can chop your other bits up, and then it's all going to be nicely mixed up. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so quinoa. That's the first thing. Hopefully for those of you who are boiling it with us just now, it should be ready now, nicely cooked like this. It's quite fluffy and it's kind of similar to rice, but quinoa is not actually a grain. Quinoa is a pseudo cereal, and it's native to South America. It's grown there, but I think nowadays people can kind of grow it anywhere. But a pseudo cereal basically means that it's not a grain, but it's more like a seed. So it's more like a seed of a plant, and it's actually naturally gluten-free. So really nice, people tend to call it a grain, but it's a really nice seed to use. So again, it can go in soups, it can go in salads. You can substitute it and use it instead of rice. So if you want to avoid very starchy carbohydrates, quinoa is a great, great substitute. So it's very nutritious. It's got lots of fiber, protein, vitamins, minerals, quite high in magnesium, a little bit of iron and folate in there as well. And just like chia seeds, quinoa is actually a complete protein as well. So it's got all of the 9 amino acids in there, and it forms a complete protein. So then for vegetarians and vegans who want to get some additional protein in there, quinoa is a great source for that. Okay, so quinoa, and then the next thing we're just going to mix in, your peanuts should be nice and boiled, just to soften them up a little bit. So again, with peanuts, they've had a lot of bad press. You know, people say peanuts are one of the fattiest nuts. Yes, they are, but again, they have the monounsaturated type of fat, so that omega-9 fatty acid, which in moderation is good for us. But the problem with peanuts is the way that people tend to use them. So a lot of the times, especially with us Indians, I know we like to have deep fried peanuts and roasted peanuts full of salt. This is where the problem comes with peanuts. And if we're eating like 2-3 handfuls of these kind of peanuts a day, then that's where the problem comes, because you're getting a lot of saturated fat from the deep fried peanuts, maybe too much salt for some of us as well, especially if it's the white sodium chloride. So peanuts are not a bad thing. Also, just to mention, they're not actually a nut, they're a legume. So they come from the same families as peas, lentils, and beans. So yeah, they come in a little pod. I'm sure you've seen those ground nuts, which you can pressure cooker and then you peel them yourself, and this is what comes out of them. So it's actually a legume, not a nut. They are actually a good source of fiber, protein, and like I said, the monounsaturated fat. But like I said, eat them in moderation and eat them the healthy way. So these red skin peanuts are the sort of pure raw form. So you can boil them up a little bit like we do when we put them in dal, or you can even eat the pure red skin peanuts. But it's when we kind of roast them and add loads of salt to them or deep fry that when they become the unhealthy kind of peanuts. So nice sort of 2 handfuls or something of peanuts going in there to add a nice crunch to the salad. Okay, and then sweet corn. So as you can see, there's lots of colors here. And with our diet, we basically want to try and eat a rainbow, like they say. Okay, so lots of different colors, textures, lots of different varieties. So we've got really nice sort of colors happening here. We've got red and yellow peppers, or red and orange peppers. We've got yellow sweet corn, lots of green, some darker colors, a little bit of reddish color here. So basically in our diets every day, day to day, meal to meal, try and eat a rainbow with lots of different colors and variety. So the sweet corn was pre-cooked as well, I should say. So however you like to cook your sweet corn, mine was just pressure cooked for about 4 or 5 whistles, and then I've just taken them off the cob. So that's the sweet corn in there. Next, the peppers. Oh, let's just check on our soup here, guys. That should nicely be bubbling away, and you should be able to smell all the flavors coming through now. Really nice mix, really nice combination of flavors coming through there. So give that a good mix. If it's sort of coming up too much, just turn the heat lower. And then turn it up again. Okay, so where are we at? Yeah, peppers. So peppers are a very good source of vitamin C. So all these nice colorful peppers going in there. Vitamin C, obviously, we know is good for our immune systems and everything, but vitamin C also helps with the absorption of iron. So if you're eating iron-rich foods, like spinach or beans or anything dark-colored, beetroot, anything with a real dark color, will have a good amount of iron in it. So if you're eating iron-rich foods and you want to absorb more of your iron, then have some vitamin C-rich foods with it, because vitamin C helps with the absorption of iron. So things like tomatoes, peppers, oranges, kiwi fruit actually is a very good source of vitamin C. All these kind of things, try and mix with your iron-rich food to really enhance the absorption of the iron. Okay, next we have cucumber. So in these kind of salads, you can literally kind of throw anything you have in. So if you like celery, you can put some celery in, tomatoes, whatever veg you have in your fridge, anything you want to use up, you can literally throw in anything into these kind of salads. And then spinach. So spinach, yeah, everyone kind of thinks spinach is a good source of iron, and it is, but it also has a compound called oxalic acid in it, which actually prevents the absorption of iron from it as well. So this would be a really good case where you would want to try and have some vitamin C rich food with the spinach, just to really enhance the absorption of that iron. And again, whenever we cook something, we're going to reduce its nutrient content. So the less we can kind of cook things, or things like baby spinach, we can actually eat raw. The more raw food we can eat, the better. So if something doesn't necessarily need to be cooked, remember, try to leave it raw or semi-raw at least. So even if you do want to cook something up, I know in this cold weather, it's hard to kind of eat cold salads and things. So if you do want to cook things and warm them up, just steam them very slightly. You don't have to kind of over steam them so that they're soft and mushy. You don't want to, destroy all the nutrients in there. So just semi-steam them to retain most of the nutrients. Okay, and then olives, I didn't actually find any sun-dried tomatoes. The zucchini here at General Thing, they usually have them, but they didn't this time. So I'm gonna leave those out. But if you have your sun-dried tomatoes, you can pop those in as well. Your olives as well can go in. So, everything in. So olives again are going to be very high in that nice monounsaturated omega-9, same as the olive oil. Wherever possible, if we can eat the food whole, it's much better. So olive oil is good, but obviously eating the olives whole is going to be even better probably as well. So try and eat the food whole wherever you can. Again, with avocado, yes, you want to use a bit of oil for cooking, that's fine, but eating the avocado whole again is great. Okay, so sun-dried tomatoes, if you have them, you can pop them in, and then nice drizzle of olive oil. So again, I've put 2 tablespoons, but depending on the quantity that you have, you can just kind of estimate and put a nice drizzle in. So olive oil, like I mentioned in the beginning, it's better to have it cold rather than heated up. Lemon, nice squeeze of lemon. Lemon again, high in vitamin C, so it's going to help us absorb all that nice iron from the quinoa and from the spinach. A nice squeeze of lemon. Okay. If you are going to be having your salad much later on, like eating for dinner, you don't have to add the salt in now, because the salt will tend to make the vegetables wilt and they'll release water, and you might end up with a whole load of water at the bottom of your salad. So if you are planning on having your salad later for dinner, then just remember to add the salt just before you're about to eat it. So I'm going to leave my salt out now as well, because I have it later. So just leave that out for now, but we can get everything else in and get the salad dressed and ready. Give it a good mix, and then just before you eat, remember to add the salt in. Okay. Right, so that was the lemon. So salt, we're leaving out a nice sprinkle of black pepper. Again, depending on how much you like on there, just go ahead and add the preferred amount. Okay. A sprinkle of paprika. Again, if you like to add onion to your food, and you can add chopped onion to this recipe as well. It just kind of brings out the flavor a little bit more. So you can add a bit of onion as well. And generally, I find the oil from the sun-dried tomato is generally flavored really nicely. So I like to sometimes add a little bit of that oil as well. So instead of using the olive oil, you can use the oil from the sun-dried tomato. Or if you buy fresh olives like the ones I had, sometimes they come in oil as well, which is often flavored with like lemon and garlic or mixed herbs or ginger or whatever it is. So if you have that oil as well, then you don't have to use the fresh olive oil, and you can just drizzle some of the flavored oil in there. This is just a little bit of paprika for some flavoring. Okay, if you want a bit of spice, you can add your cayenne chili or some chili flakes, or a little bit of chili powder in there as well. And then what's the last thing? The last thing, so if you want to keep this vegan, you don't have to add the feta cheese. But if you don't mind the cheese, you can, again, just before you serve it, so not yet, just before you serve it, just crumble on a little bit of feta cheese onto your salad. If for the vegans, let me just grab my nutritional yeast. So if you want to keep the recipe vegan, but you still want a little bit of that cheesy flavor in there, vegans tend to use something called nutritional yeast flakes. So these are again available from HealthyU, or there's a website called Vegan Kenya. If you just Google Vegan Kenya, they have a great website with a lot of vegan products on there. They have vegan butters, they have vegan ice cream, vegan chocolate, these kind of products as well, vegan mayo. So yeah, a really nice website with lots of stuff on there, Vegan Kenya. But yeah, nutritional yeast flakes, vegans tend to use to kind of get that cheesy flavor in dishes. They're also very high in B vitamins as well, B12 and all the other B vitamins, a little bit of iron in there as well. So just kind of a nice thing to sprinkle on, just to enhance the flavor and also get some added nutrition in there. So you can see they kind of look like little flakes. That's what it is. So yeah, you can add that, or you can sprinkle in your British cheese. So let's give our salad a nice mix. You may need to adjust the levels of spice or salt or even lemon. You know, some people like a lot of lemon in their dressings and things. So just go ahead and have a taste and then adjust whatever you need to. So give the salad a good mix. Might want to add a little bit more oil if it looks a little bit dry. It's fine, you can go ahead and add a bit more oil. Okay, so have a taste and see what you think. Obviously the salt is missing, or you may have added it, but just have a taste and just adjust it really to your taste buds. Everybody's taste buds are very, very different. So just adjust it to how you like it. But as you can see, it's a really nice sort of fresh, colorful salad. Lots of important nutrients and minerals and vitamins in there. And a nice kind of whole, complete meal. So this with the soup actually is a really sort of filling, wholesome meal that should really keep you going for a while. Okay, so that's done. Nice and quick and easy to make. Really nice healthy lunch idea. Easy to pack as well. If you need to take a packed lunch with you, Pretty simple and easy to kind of put that together and take as a packed lunch. Really quick to make. So yeah. Right, let's check on our soup over here. So, as you can see, the lentils are nicely softening up. I think they need about 5 more minutes, my lentils over here. So with lentils, again, they should become quite transparent almost, and they should be fairly soft and easy to break. And when you break them in half, the inside shouldn't be white at all. It should all kind of be one color, level and one color. So we'll give that a few more minutes. We can actually add the coconut milk at this point as well because it's almost done. So coconut cream, sorry, not coconut milk. So I like to use this one here. It's very hard to find coconut milks and coconut creams here in Kenya that are actually in a can and very sort of pure and not much other stuff added to them. This is one of the ones that I found with sort of the least amount of extra things in them. So this one's just got coconut extract, 99.7%. If you look at some of the other cans that are available out there, they're actually about only 90% coconut, and then the rest of the 10% is like all this other stuff added. So this one's quite good. It's 99.7% coconut. Then there's some carboxymethyl cellulose. I think that's to help thicken it. Xanthan gum, again, to thicken it. Emulsifier to keep it, I guess, into that kind of liquidy form. And sodium metabisulfate. Basically, if it's something that you can't really say, try to avoid things which have those kind of things in them. But obviously, we're limited to choice here. So this is one of them. I will show you another brand, which again is available in Healthy You. Let me just grab it. It's this brand here, and it's from the UK. It's called Biona. This is the coconut milk, but they do a coconut cream as well. And this one, if you see the ingredients are literally coconut and water. So it is 50% coconut because this is the milk. So it's going to be more liquidy. And the rest is water. There's absolutely nothing else in there. It's organic as well. It is obviously a little bit more expensive than the ones available in the supermarket. But you know, sometimes you have to pay the price to kind of get the most natural things that we can because we know it's going to be better for our bodies. So yeah, they do a coconut milk and they do a coconut cream as well. And like I mentioned, it's available in Healthy You. These ones are, the Kara brand is available in supermarkets. Most supermarkets have them. Okay, so I'm going to just add half a cup, so if you have a measuring cup. So the coconut cream, again, for this recipe, it gives a really nice sort of creamy flavor to the, nice creamy flavor to our soup, rather than using sort of dairy cream, which is quite high in saturated fat. But yeah, it just gives a really nice Thai coconut flavor. So we're going to measure out half a cup of that. I use this for a lot of desserts and things as well, this kind of coconut cream, because being vegan, it really helps to add flavor and creaminess to a lot of my recipes. I do use a lot of coconut cream. And just like the oil, it's going to have medium chain triglycerides in it. So it's not the unhealthy saturated fat, it's the more healthier saturated fat, which your body just uses up for energy. So give that a nice mix. And then if you feel your lentils are cooked, you can actually switch off your soup. So if you like a chunky soup, you can leave it like this. But with this kind of soup, I actually prefer to blend it. So once it's cooled down a little bit, I'm just going to put it in one of these blenders. So if you have a Vitamix, the Vitamix will do the trick. Otherwise, any sort of regular food blender like this will help you blend your soup. So let it cool down because we don't want to put it in here too hot. But that is pretty much cooked. Again, you can taste it for flavor. You might need to add a bit more spice or salt or pepper or whatever you feel. If you do like it creamier, please go ahead and add a little bit of coconut milk as well. But otherwise, let it cool down. And then all you have to do is pop it into a blender and blend it until it's smooth. If it's quite thick, you can add again a bit more coconut cream or a little bit of water, and then just give it a good blend. And then that's ready. And then you can garnish it with some chopped coriander. Tastes really good on there. And some chopped red chilies. The bigger ones which are not so chili. If you chop those up and just garnish with that, it gives a really lovely flavor and adds a little bit of crunch to the soup as well. So that's basically it. So that's all our 3 recipes done. Muffins, your muffins should be ready. Salad's all ready to go as well. And your soup is ready probably for dinner as well. So yeah, if anybody has any questions or anything, please feel free to shout out. I'm happy to share my phone number if that's okay. Jinal Sonal, is that okay for me to share or?
Yes, go ahead, Kavita.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to write it down and if you have any questions about any of the ingredients or anything that I used today, my phone number is 0757 129 465. And I also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page called Cav's Cuisine. So if you're ever looking for new recipe ideas, all of them are vegetarian and a lot of them are now vegan as well. So if you're ever looking for inspiration or new sort of recipes to follow, do look me up, Cav's Cuisine. And I'm always constantly posting new things on there as well. So yeah, feel free to kind of message me on there or give me a call or WhatsApp if you want to find out any more. But Cav's Cuisine is spelled KavZKuizine. And yeah, that's basically it.
Kavita, if you have a chance.
Sorry, we can't hear anything.
Have a look at the chat and maybe.
Sorry, I didn't get any of that.
So there are some messages on the chat for you.
Okay.
If you want to have a look at it and just answer.
Yeah, let me do that now.
Answer them and then,
Yeah, I'm just having a look now. Will recipes be shared? So they were shared on the email already. Alpa, I think Alpa, you were asking that. The recipes were sent around by email.
All my questions have been answered, actually. I just ignore the ones on the chat.
Is that Alpa talking? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Egg replacement. Oh, somebody's answered that. Yep, 1 tablespoon chia seeds plus 3 tablespoons of water. I hope you could hear me properly then towards the end. Well, not towards the end, but could everybody hear me properly then?
Yes, you were good after that, Kavita.
Okay. So difference between cream cakes and muffins, yeah, we answered.
I think we can also open up the forum to any more questions from anybody who's on the group at the moment.
I think
anybody has
that's
any
it.
questions?
Yeah, I didn't see any more questions there on the chat.
So members, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask Kavita. Okay, I think if nobody has any questions,
I have a quick question.
sorry.
Yeah. My mother makes coconut milk from coconuts. She puts it in a blender with water. Is that pure coconut milk?
Yes, that's the best way to make it.
Yeah.
If it's fresh from the coconut, and yeah, literally it's just blended, and yeah, some people like to strain it to maybe get all the bits out. But if you can just keep even all the fiber and all the pulp and stuff in, that really is the best way to have it, because then yeah, you're not sort of extracting the fibrous bit, which is really important as well. So yeah, tell her to, that's brilliant. Keep doing that.
Yeah, but it's quite a process.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can imagine.
Thanks. Thank you.
Kavita, can we try the muffins now that you've made?
Yes, of course, please try them. Yeah, I can break one in half so you can see the inside. I need my camera back here, please. I'll let him do that.
In location, we're heading to yours for dinner.
Yeah, come over. There's so much food. So let's choose a nice one. I think this one looks good. Oh, let's do this one. So it should be really nice and soft and moist on the inside. Really nice and gooey. And then we've got all the chocolate chips nicely melted in there as well. So yeah, if you've made them, please go ahead, make yourself a cup of tea. Yeah, if you did make the muffins with us, please go ahead, make yourself a cup of tea and try the muffins and let us know what you think.
Thank you.
Is there any more questions? We have finished a little bit ahead of time, but I always like to leave a bit of time just for questions at the end. And then, yeah, don't forget to blend your soup and add the salt to your quinoa salad before you eat it for dinner.
Sonal, I think we don't have any more questions from the group, so we can do a close.
Yeah, was there any other ingredients that people wanted to see again, maybe to take down the names of anything? I'm happy to show you those again if there was anything.
Yeah, there was a product you said you got from the UK. I think it was a tin.
Yeah, so it's available in Healthy You. It's the Biona coconut milk. Let me just show you.
Yeah.
Oops. Chillin. No. Hello.
Yeah, I can't see it at the moment.
Sorry, I thought let me just do it this way, because here we are. It's the Biona coconut milk.
Okay, I mean, sometimes I find it available at different prices in different shops. Does it make a difference which shop I get it from?
You mean the same brand?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it should make a difference. Just check the expiry date, because sometimes if they really drop the price or something, it could be because the date's going off soon.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think I just need to be able to read the tins better and understand what the tins are saying and all the packets are saying.
Yeah.
It would be great if you could do a session on how to read a label of a product.
Yeah, so I can give you a quick tip now. When you're basically looking at the ingredients list, things are generally they're generally written in the order of the amount that's in there, if that makes sense. So if something says coconut, sugar, milk, water, that's the order of how much is in there. So the thing that's most in there is coconut, and then the second thing that's in there most is sugar, and then the third thing most in there is milk or whatever I said, and then lastly water. So that's kind of how it goes. So if the first ingredient is listed as sugar, that product is super high in sugar, and you should probably be putting it straight back on the shelf, because it's going to be very, very high in sugar. Well, I would say if sugar is in the top 3 or 4 ingredients, that product is probably very high in sugar. So that's how the ingredients are listed. Now, if you look at the nutritional content, let me just get something. If try and find something with a label on it, and I can try and explain to you how to read the nutritional information. I'm just trying to find one that's easy for me to read as well. So try and find something which has that table which says nutritional information or nutritional content or something. Just find something.
Yeah, it's amount per serving calories, fat, cholesterol, sodium.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a can of baked beans here. And if I look at the bit which says nutritional information, so that's the table, you'll see there'll be 2 columns, right? So there's a column for per 100 grams, and then there'll be a column for per serving, or for, like on the can, it says per half can. Yeah. So what you always want to look out for is the per 100 gram serving, not the per biscuit or per slice or per half can. That's not what you want to look at, because it's the total sort of percentage, which is the 100-gram value, that you want to be looking at. So, for example, for this, it says protein in these baked beans is 4.7 grams per 100 grams. So 4.7% of this can of baked beans, or if I have a spoonful of the baked beans, 4.7% of that will be protein. Yeah.
Okay,
and then it
so
says,
per 100 allows me to convert it into percentages.
Yeah, because that will give you an indication like how much sugar, because like if you look at a packet of biscuits, for example, per biscuit, the sugar will be very low. It will say like 3-4 grams of sugar per biscuit. But if you go to the 100-gram value, it'll be something like 30 or 40 grams per 100 grams. So that actually means,
when I open a packet of biscuits, I end up eating the whole packet.
Exactly. So that means that 30 to 40% of that biscuit is sugar. So if you're eating the whole pack, you've had 30 to 40 grams of sugar, basically. And in terms of sugar, there is like a daily sort of allowance, but I wouldn't really call it an allowance, because obviously the less sugar you can eat, the better. But it's 24 grams of sugar per day, which is sort of the acceptable, okay amount. And 1 teaspoon of sugar is 6 grams. Now, just to give you an indication, a can or a bottle of Coke, I think a 500 mils or a 330 ml bottle of Coke has something like 6 to 7 teaspoons of sugar in it. That's already your daily allowance in 1 bottle of Coke.
Okay.
Yeah, just to kind of give you an idea. So always look at the 100-gram value. That's basically the main point, because that gives you a more clear indication rather than per biscuit or per slice or per piece of chocolate or whatever.
I think this is becoming more and more relevant in Nairobi as we buy more and more products from supermarkets.
Yes.
As supermarkets spread.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like in Nairobi, we're actually lucky that we have so much fresh produce available, so much variety of locally produced exotic fruits, vegetables, so many different green leafy veg. We have so much variety here that really we don't need to be buying kind of all this processed stuff. But obviously, the times that we live in, it's becoming harder and harder to eat more fresh. But living in Nairobi, hopefully it should be a bit easier for us. So many markets out there and stuff that we can pick up a lot of fresh stuff from.
Today I had an indigenous food. I had mukimo, which is mashed potato with pumpkin leaves, beans and maize. And
nice.
Yeah, it was very healthy, very natural.
So we call that Ireo. I don't know where Ireo has come from, but it's a delicious dish, and so healthy, like so many healthy carbs in there, the healthy proteins from the beans, obviously no sugar, no dairy in there. So I mean,
could you please run a session on the more indigenous foods available in Kenya?
I can try. yeah, definitely. I'd be up for that.
Okay, thanks.
But I hope the label reading, so is that clear? So I do have a table somewhere. anyone who is interested in label reading, I need to just dig it up, but there's a table which is from the UK basically, which shows you what, when you pick up a food product, what are acceptable levels or what you should be looking out for in terms of high sugar, low sugar, high saturated fat, low saturated fat, that kind of thing. So if anybody is interested, please just send me a WhatsApp and then I can find this photo that I have and share it. And it's it's a basic label photo. And it kind of guides you on how to read whether a product is healthy or not by looking at the nutritional information. And once you have that in front of you, it's easier for me to kind of explain in terms of high and low for different things. Even something like salt in this can of baked beans. So salt I think the daily recommended amount is 6 grams of salt, which is literally a teaspoon. Yeah, so same as the sugar, 6 grams of salt is a teaspoon. Now, we easily, especially in our Indian food, we easily add a teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half in one dish, right? I know that's spread maybe between like 3-4 people, but if we're having 2 or 3 meals of that, plus all our snacks which have salt, plus bread, like a slice of bread can have 0.6 grams of sugar per slice. If you're eating 2 slices of bread, that's already over a gram. It's 1/6 of your daily allowance already gone. So just kind of things like that. We need to just be mindful and be conscious and really learn how to read the labels. So yeah, if anybody's interested, send me a quick WhatsApp and I will dig up that label photo I have and share it with you. And then if it's not clear, I'm happy to talk to you about how to read it a bit better.
Do we have any more questions in the group?
There's something on the chat. How do I find the chat?
I think, Kavita, we have some very amazing comments and really appreciate, lots of appreciation from members for what you've done today.
Thank you. I'm just quickly reading them now before you close the meeting.
Yes, no, go ahead. That's fine. I guess if anybody has any more questions at this point, we still have a couple of minutes. Kavita can take a few more questions if anybody has any.
When will your next demo be available?
So I think on behalf of all the office bearers and the managing committee at this Ashwa community, would like to thank Kavita for such a very informative talk and demo. I think there is, like you say, a lot of potential for people to learn about nutrition, especially in Kenya. So I really, really appreciate what you've done today. And I think a lot of people will learn and take on board things that, need to help them lead a healthier life in the long term. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed doing the demo and giving us the talk as well.
I did.
I think you're fantastic.
I did. Thank you very much.
Yes. Shout out to Shilan. Thank you very much for the video. You're great as well. And I think somebody has raised a hand. Sorry, somebody is raising a hand. Does anybody want to say anything? Komal, did you want to say something? Okay, somebody else has raised their hand, so I'm not sure if they want to say something or.
It's showing me
Kavita, I think sorry, go on.
No, it's fine.
So I think we had at one point the maximum number, we had about 100 participants join, so which is a really good turnout. And then obviously whoever watched on YouTube as well. So yeah, thank you all to the audience for being fantastic as well, for the questions. Thank you, Kavita.
Thank you very much for inviting me on. And where
We
will
look
the
forward to
YouTube
working
link,
in the future.
will the YouTube link be shared somewhere?
So I can put it, we have, the Visashal community has a YouTube channel. So if on YouTube, somebody types Visashal community, it should direct them to the Visashal community Nairobi page, and then the video will be on there for anybody to watch in the future as well. So if you have any friends or family who are interested in watching, later on, maybe they can always go there and watch.
Okay.
So I think we shall leave it at that. If there's any more people, comments, I don't think there is. Somebody trying to type something on the chat. Hold on, let's see what they're saying. Oh no, that's a thank you. So that's fine. Thanks, Kavita. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you. You too. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.